Podcast where we talk about nerdy stuff and we are not ashamed about
A little bit.
it. Probably a little more. That's why we secretly do this. um, First, before this episode's a little different than other episodes in the future because we'll basically get right into it. But I wanted to kind of explain why we did this podcast. Basically, our thought was that have you ever had a show that you just watched the new episode of, and you're so excited to talk to your friends about it, and
But
they
you don't have any friends.
I mean,
That's me.
that's probably true. And they have no idea what you're talking about, and it's a platform that they will never buy. Like it's how are you supposed to have a conversation about Stranger Things if somebody doesn't have Netflix? That's kind of what I feel about with the book genre. At least the friends we have around, it's hard to actually talk about books. Me and Brian have been talking over the course of the last few years about books. He's one of the only people I can actually talk nerdy ass fantasy with that gets it and will encourage me to read different books. We'll discuss. We'll have dislikes upon books we
Plenty of
read,
those.
but we move forward. So that is the entire reason we started this, is taking our conversation and bringing it to a larger community, because I want to find more people just like us out there that are willing to get nerdy and talk about books. I mean, before their movies. Like, and because honestly, most of the stuff we read, it's going to end up becoming a movie anyways, because
I'd say so.
there's no new ideas. So I'll just go over a couple quick announcements. So how we do this podcast is every other week we're going to do a book review over basically a book we decide and choose and have fun with, and we'll talk about it. The first half will be spoiler free. The second half will be a full deep dive into spoilers and if we liked it or not. So we can at least help somebody who's on the fence of watching or reading a book, or uh, or somebody who's just has read the book and they kind of want to feel vindicated with their opinions of said terrible or great book. So this week we are doing Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Amos. Amos?
Anus.
Anus. Okay.
Nicholas Anus.
uh, in 2 weeks, on September 30th, we are doing Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James. I really like it. I know somebody isn't finished with it, and they are not having a good time. And then October 14th, getting ready for the, speaking of movies turning into, or books turning into movies, we're going to do Dune by Frank Herbert. So, and this is something I am kind of playing with the idea of a kind of a more grouped get together, read along, and I want to do it through Discord, because we could actually have voice chats and there could be archives of different conversations that we've had, and I want to start that in October, and I want to go through the Stormlight archive. Like, let's go crazy.
Yes, I'm
And
ready.
I'm just envisioning this in my head, and I haven't actually put a ton of thought into it. But what I'd want to do is every week there'd be like a fourth of the book that you would read, and we'd open up a comment section, and people could talk about that first fourth, and then the next week is second,
How
fourth,
long a fourth of the Stormlight archive?
fourth.
The first
No,
book.
no, 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 no. No, I'd break up a book per month, because Jesus, that's a couple thousand pages to read in a week, and I'm not. I read fast, but I don't read that fast. So we're kind of spitting the idea around. If you have any suggestions or seen something that might have worked, feel free to email us. I will have all of our contact info in the podcast description or the video description, depending on how you're watching it. I have set up a Facebook. I've set up a Twitter. I've done a lot of stuff. I haven't done anything yet because I've been waiting on this one episode to actually start doing it. So hopefully by the time you're hearing this, it's all working out great, and there's a community of loving, kind fellowship, and yada yada yada. So let's get started. Let's get into the Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Amos. And I will just steal the description from Goodreads, and it goes like this: Clay Cooper and his band were once the best of the best, meanest, dirtiest, most feared crew of mercenaries this side of the Heartwild. Their glory days long past. The mercs have grown apart, grown old, fat, drunk, or a combination of the three. Then an ex bandmate turns up at Clay's door with a plea for help. His daughter Rose is trapped in the city, besieged by an enemy 100,000 strong and hungry for blood.
Always hungry.
Rescuing Rose is the kind of mission that only the very brave or the very stupid would sign up for. It's time to get the band back together for one last tour across the wild. So, I just want to go off, and it kind of touches in the very beginning what this book. I thought this was an interesting take on this whole idea that it is. When I think of even they lean into this heavy. It's like a 1980s hair metal band that has the crooked manager, and they even call it bands. They call it lead, like showrunners and lead. I can't even think of the word.
Bard, or thinking
Like,
of Bard?
well, no. Like basically like a frontman. That's what it is.
Okay.
They have their frontmans, and they've got their and it's an interesting take on this whole bizarre style. I mean, it's a trope that's been like this fantasy go save somebody. It's a pretty old tale.
They did say we're getting the boys back together.
Yeah.
About 20 times. So I was kind of tired of hearing that.
Oh,
but
no.
yeah,
Like I like obviously I was pretty positive on this book. I truly enjoyed it. Did it have its flaws? Yes. But like as a general opinion of this book, I really liked it. What about you?
I won't give my rating yet,
Okay.
but I will say I think we should wait till the end and give like a blank out of 10.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. I mean, I haven't come up with a number for it, but
Okay.
I'll think of one.
So,
okay. So then let's jump forward with, give me one reason of why somebody should read this book.
if you're into fantasy, it's got pretty much everything you could want in a fantasy. It's also pretty funny at times. I'm trying really hard to stay positive on this book because there's a lot that I don't like.
We'll go to reasons to pass here in a second.
Okay, I'll stay positive.
Okay. So mine would probably be let's see here. Let's see. Mine would probably be I would go with the emotions just in general of the book. It is very funny. Like there's parts that I still like think are hilarious.
Yeah.
And
what parts in particular? I've got a couple of those
too. Let's save that for
spoiler?
The spoilers. Yeah, because there's a few moments that I'm just like, oh my god, I'm so glad nobody ruined that for me because it's really funny.
Okay.
And then, but there's also parts in the book where it was like truly like sorrowful and like made me like feel feelings, which is
I didn't.
There's a few parts. I thought I liked that a lot. I'd go with most of the characters were really fleshed out and they had their own unique identity, and there were memorable parts to almost all characters.
Yeah, I'd say you're correct. Okay, so who I didn't think I would like initially would be Moog. So he's like the wizard dude. He was kind of weird at first, but then like halfway through the book, I was like, okay, this is my favorite character in the book. But like by far, he's really funny. I'm trying really hard not to say anything that would spoil
Oh man, making a podcast for the first time, you run into some difficulties. So we are back. Let's go with what would you tell somebody if you're thinking they should pass on this book?
If you're wanting anything really past like main fantasy tropes, probably pass on it. Or here's my thing. Initially, because they're already heroes, it's almost like the author assumed that you would care about them initially, and I definitely didn't. I that kind of changed throughout the book slightly. Like I definitely got more into it towards the end, but initially I didn't really care about any of them. So it took a while.
Mine would probably be that the actual story was meh. It was fine. It was a good like. Oh, that was dumb and fun. It was a Fast and the Furious movie. It's basically the plot of how I would put it. Like it was fine. There's other things that, you know what, this movie I think was from the very beginning made to be a movie. Like it's got some movie magic, Deus Ex, like, or Deus Machina, like God said this is fine now situations where I'm just like, oh well, I just got done reading like some Sanderson, which he'll talk about like endlessly about a coin. And now a plot piece is good. Just like, I don't know. Good. I don't know. It just works, bro. Just trust me. So what we're going to do now is we're going to switch over to spoiler mode, and I have high hopes that I'm going to put something in post that it's going to be like spoiler. I don't see that happening, but
can we do flames?
Maybe.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
This is based on what I can find out from YouTube. So spoiler. Let's give it a beat. Sign off now. Okay, cool. There were first of all, back on what I was just talking about of the things I didn't like. The main antagonist sucked.
You think so?
He was just boring. He was just like, I don't know, like
Clay. We're talking about Clay.
No, antagonist, not protagonist.
I don't know words, so talk to me like I'm 3.
Antagonist is bad guy.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't even remember. Loose leaf? Something leaf?
Louse leaf? It was something with the leaf.
Yeah. He was...
For the first, like, 50 pages of the book, or maybe 50 to 100, I thought he was the dragon thing that they said was dumb. And I was like, if he's dumb, like, and he doesn't hold a grudge, like, how is he talking to him right now? And obviously been mad at him this whole time. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was like, I just didn't care about that entire storyline of like this sword and his dad and like these are rabbit elf people. I was like, I just don't care.
Were they elves?
That's the vibe I was getting.
But like, they're like aliens from another like dimension.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
But they're like rabbit elves. They had like long rabbit ears or tall rabbit ears. Yeah, okay. So like that's my one gripe. Oh, and my other gripe was this big deadly disease that's like killing people if they step into the forest.
Yeah.
And like Moog's entire character is based off of this disease, and like he lost his husband, and it was like this touching, like actually like he was more than just like a Jim Carrey zany character.
Right.
He also had a persona to him, and then like I don't know, they smoked some shit and now it's gone.
That's how everything works. That's how it always works.
Like that's why there's dispensaries everywhere. Like because but I'm like okay, in a movie I would have been like, yeah, that totally makes sense.
Okay, so when we're first introduced to him, he has like a goblin with him or something. So Clay comes up to him and he's trying to get him to join with, what's the other guy's name?
Gabriel.
So Gabriel and Clay go find Moog, and they're already on the run from somebody I can't remember.
The manager,
that's right. So he's got a goblin in there, and so Moog already has the plague or whatever on his foot.
On his toes.
And so he's trying to cure
It was a little tree ant.
Okay.
That was sad.
And so he tried to like heal him, and he I know he died.
He failed.
Did he explode? What happened?
No, he just died. Like the cure didn't fit. And like that was the whole thing is like he's got this crazy personality, but like when he's talking about the rot is what it's called. The rot or his husband, it was like deadly serious, and like you feel this emotion, and it felt like such a bummer payoff. Like, I mean, of course you're gonna figure it out. It's a fucking fantasy novel. You're going to
Cannibals fixed it.
But so that was my big gripe. Those two things were my big gripes. Now, like Moog was definitely one of my favorite characters in it. When they make this a movie, if John Malkovich isn't Moog, I'm gonna lose my mind. This is basically like a Lord of the Rings meets Red, and like that's the vibe that I kept getting from it. Was like, you don't see a lot of times where it's like, oh, I'm an old washed up hero, I don't do that anymore. Like, you don't see a ton of that. It's always like, I'm a farm boy and I don't know, and they're like, you're a wizard, Harry.
I swear to God, if you're talking bad about the Wheel of Time, I will eat you.
I mean, it is just that is a common trope. Now, this book, I wouldn't suggest like my wife read this book because she doesn't catch on to all the tropes, and this makes fun of a lot of tropes in fantasy, and it doesn't take itself. It takes itself like self-serious, like I am so over the top. I know I'm over the top, but I'm going to play it up till the end. And there's some kickbacks to most every fantasy book. There's kicks to D&D. There's the whole they've never had a bard survive, I think is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, I don't know, they just die. Shouldn't have a guitar following around a bunch of thugs with swords and stuff.
And what was the bard's name that they had? As Kit the Undead?
Kit the Undead. The only one that they could keep was already dead.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty fun. He was pretty funny.
He was.
He mixed well with Moog.
I did. I really enjoyed that whole crew. Now, another drawback I would say is I have no desire right now to read the second book. Normally, books and series, I'm like, oh, I got to get my teeth into the next installation, and like, oh, but like this one, I was just like, nah, I'm just gonna set that down. I'll read it later. I'm just not.
So okay, let's paint the picture of what the book is. Mm-hmm. So, why are they getting the band back together?
To save Gabriel's daughter.
Okay, so she has gone off into some place to get her own glory. Basically,
she started her own band.
So what was the bad dude's name again? Last Leaf? Last Leaf. That's got to be it, right?
I think it's loose leaf, like paper. I don't know. I think
it's the last leaf.
It's leaf something.
I don't know. Somebody will tell us.
Leif Erikson.
Yeah. So he's already attacked this one town far away. And so that they called like bands and everybody.
Oh, yeah. They called an entire army to help.
Yeah. And so he has somehow forced his will upon people or the creatures of the wild.
Yeah. Somehow he gained control of the denizens of like the goblins and minotaurs.
Basically everything the bands have been killing for years and years for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Just to be,
just to be a dick,
like we do in real life. So Rose is her name, right? Mm-hmm. Rose goes and with her own band because she'd been practicing with Gabriel and wanted to be famous just like her dad. Mm-hmm. And so once they actually get to her, like it all works out. Uh-huh. And so the second book I think is about Rose, right?
I think it's all about her band. Like I don't. Okay.
So then I have to care about people all over again.
Possibly. Now, like maybe Moog would join, but like Clay doesn't seem like he's going to join.
Is the book already out?
Yes, it's already out. I really liked Clay. Like I really liked that character.
Initially, I did not.
He was very bland. I'm a fucking tough guy.
He's the best one out of all of them. Everyone likes him. He's the most rational, I guess.
Yeah. He's the level head of them. He's not the pretty boy. He's not the psychopath, which is that other. I can't even remember that guy's name.
Psychopath.
He was
Oh, the one that had been frozen for years.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That guy was a psychopath.
First of all, I think we're doing a terrible job of explaining the story. However,
well, this is
so like that part of the book was so cool. Because immediately when they find whatever his name is, they get thrown into like Last Leaf shows up.
Oh, and they fight the Chimera.
Oh my god,
that part was tight.
I think that was the part of the book where I was like, all right, I can read this.
Okay,
this is all right.
Now my favorite part of the entire book is the two-headed giant, where one was blind and he was not all there, and then the other basically just lied to him to make him like it was like I was just like, oh, that's a touching character.
Personally,
like,
I was happy when they died. No, I wasn't. I'm just kidding.
Wow, because that part I was just like, oh, he's just sleeping. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you beautiful, hideous things, you.
Yeah.
But that part, like that part was what I talked about. Made me feel sad. The parts that I found funny were the Minotaur scene at the end, where it was just the funniest, like Clay's inner monologue talking about like, and I finally killed him, and I was like, no, you didn't, and then it ended up messing up Loose Leaf. Like that was the best part of Last Leaf. Was it Last Leaf?
I don't know. I'll Google it. That's why I have a computer in front of me.
And this kind of anticlimactic thing happened. Like you're expecting Gabriel and him to have this final throwdown, and it was a jackass Minotaur that aren't that tall. Like that whole thing, and that just made it. That made me go, okay, I really, really like this book.
It is Last Leaf.
Okay. So, on a scale of 1 through 10,
I would give it a 7.
7?
A solid 7.
I would probably agree with a solid 7, maybe a 7.5.
I was being gracious because at first I was going to say 6.5, but no. Then I read Black Leopard, Red Wolf, and this is a solid 7.
Hey, no spoilers for next week or 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, you don't know if I like it or not.
Yeah, I have no idea if you like it or not. I don't know the second half. Just wait. That's all I gotta say. So that will basically conclude our first episode of the NerdTier Podcast. I will come up with a better intro and have a nice little sound off and like and subscribe, blah blah blah. But I don't know right now what I've got going on. Stay with us, and we will keep working on making this more tolerable to listen to. So, Thank y'all.
Thanks for hanging out with us.